This podcast is part of the Big Heads Media Podcast Network. Go to bigheadsmedia.com for more great podcasts.
Hello and welcome to Body Count, a history podcast where we gab about death and disaster through the ages, highlighting figures, single events, time periods, whatever it may be that resulted in someone, or as is usually the case, a lot of someone's dying. I am your host, Jessica Manor, joined as always by my co-hosts,
Bethany Skelton
and Cara DiDemizio.
Whoop whoop.
I had to think about my name though. That's the kind of week. I'm not sure what my name is.
And Cara.
To be honest, I always have to literally read, I am your host, Jessica Manor. The rest I've got memorized, but I momentarily forget my own name in the course of that spiel. Really quickly, housekeeping. As always, we have to do our housekeeping. If you love the show, go and check us out wherever it is that you listen to podcasts, and be sure to rate and review. We don't ask you to give us those 5 stars because it makes us feel awesome about ourselves. It does, by the way. Like, I do a tiny little dance in my house, but it really helps us out on the business end. And that is primarily why we ask and emphasize that everyone do that. Now, all that out of the way, we have a guest I'm very pumped about. Because I think this is going to be a lot of fun, and it's an episode generally outside of our purview, so I'm super excited. Allison, will you introduce yourself to our listeners?
Sure will, and I've been repeating my name in my head this whole time so I don't forget what it is, so thank you. My name is Alison Epstein. I am a Chicago-based author, and my first novel is called A Tip for the Hangman. And it just came out this month, so I am a big frazzled mess of book release nerves, but I am super excited to be here and talking with you all on this episode.
I'm super excited. Where does everybody follow you on social media really quickly so they can get that book?
Absolutely. I am on Twitter and Instagram, same handle for both. It's Rapscallison, which is Rapscallion with an S.
Which I thought was quite clever when I was looking at that today. By the way, it got a chuckle out of me. I was like, oh.
All I've got is puns and nothing else. So that's what I was hoping for.
Oh, I was feeling the pun vibes. I was very into it. I was like, ooh, this is going to be a lot of fun. So you're on to talk about somebody very specific. He's sort of an author of a sort of himself, more of a what we might call playwright. I don't know if that's even a thing anymore in today's day and age. That being said, who are we going to talk about tonight, Allison?
Yeah, we are here to talk about Christopher Marlowe, 16th century poet. It's more exciting than it sounds from the description, 16th century poet, because that always puts people to sleep. The story has got everything I love, so I'm very excited.
It's also got everything I love, which is why I'm very, very pumped about it. So, because I don't know anything about Marlowe's early life, I don't know where you're planning to start, but go ahead and take it away because it's going to be news to this gal.
Perfect. So we'll start at the beginning, I guess. Marlowe was born in 1564. I always have to look it up because I never remember, but it was 2 months before Shakespeare. So that is the time period that we're talking about.
Which is important.
Which is important because it's not the same day as Shakespeare for reasons I will get to later. But so he grew up in Canterbury, which is like, I don't know how far outside of London, not that far.
Southeast Kent.
You know. Yes.
It's a good trains way, and actually it would be probably I'd say 2.5, 3 hours because of how shoddy the train and rail system is over there. So yeah, it's in the southeast corner for anyone that needs to picture where in England we're talking about, or where in Britannia we're talking about.
And it would take longer than 3 hours in 1560 because of the
No doubt.
horses,
But there was no
etc.
train.
Yeah.
There was definitely no train then.
If anybody wants to understand Dover, like it's the place you got to go through to get to France. All right, so like think of it in terms that way.
Yeah. So he was born in Canterbury to his parents made shoes. So he's growing up in like the cobbler's shop of Canterbury, which like from the picture you get from that, not a lot of money, not a lot of social prestige. You kind of expect your dad's a shoemaker, you're going to end up being a shoemaker. But the part where his life starts to get interesting is he's around 16 or 17 and he wins full ride scholarship, Cambridge University, and he gets out of town and goes to college. And like shoemaker sons don't do that. So like you see that and you know this kid had something. This kid was pretty special.
Scandal. What a scandal it must have been in his hometown. Shoemaker's son gets an education.
Especially in early modern history, remarkable that Daniel Day-Lewis's son here is taking off and getting a full ride to Cambridge. So, you know, like pretty noteworthy, like remarkable.
Yeah. So he gets to school. He's doing his thing, you know, being a college kid. He's training, like most people did at Cambridge, to be a priest, which is hilarious for other reasons I will get to later, because there are almost no people in history less priest-like than Christopher Marlowe. Not cut out for it.
Sounds like our kind of guy then. Potentially.
Yeah.
Well, I'm assuming that's going to create a little trouble if you're trying to get well, you'll get to it, I have a feeling. I'm going to know exactly how much trouble that's going to create.
It starts to create trouble pretty much right away, because this is where I should say while I'm talking, the reason I'm so interested in Christopher Marlowe is because he's the subject of my novel. So my book picks up right about here in this moment where he's at Cambridge doing his thing. And then, as far as historical records tell us, he has a very interesting meeting with someone who is deeply connected to Queen Elizabeth herself. And while he, the actual queen of the actual England. And so he's like 21, 22, meeting with the Queen's advisors. And right about at this point, he gets recruited to be a secret agent for Queen Elizabeth I.
What? Ooh,
which is my favorite thing. It's like, you wouldn't think you're going to get recruited to be a spy while you're in grad school. I just finished grad school. I would be a terrible spy. But this is the time where they were going. So
I have a question. So are you going to talk about, well, I just had to ask because you're probably going to get to it, but I'm a little hyped because when you say Queen Elizabeth Spy Master, I'm thinking Walsingham, and I'm getting so many kinds of excited here. Because if there is like a Tudor era figure that I have this weird like appreciation for because of his like maneuvering, it would be this dude, the bane of Mary Queen of Scots' existence too, I might add.
Yes. Yeah, Spy Master that Kit Marlowe worked for was Sir Francis Walsingham, who is the super shady political bureaucrat of my heart. I'm so happy you love him because I love him so much and no one knows who he is. So
I was about to say, no, that's one of the most relentless bastards in all of human history.
In my opinion, the success for Elizabeth, really, if you take out, in my opinion, Cecil and Walsingham, I would hands down tell you, I'm not sure she would have had the reign that she did. Because with that spy network, it enabled her to keep tabs on any potential enemies. And it was brilliant. I mean, it could not have picked the more ruthless people involved. Like you had said, shady spy bureaucrat is a great description. But damn interesting person.
Yeah, I love that we dropped Walsingham in there. But I'm also glad you just gave us a little sprinkle of salt because Cecil is equally as important. And you took the bullshit right out of my
Lord
mouth,
Burleigh.
Kara.
Yep.
Like, oh damn, yes.
Those two people, I'm just like, yes, and not like a historical hottie because Trust
No.
me, anyone
Not
listening, their portraiture is a nah. I'll just put it that way. Very interesting, very shady, very
I would
important.
rather take a look at 2 portraits of baboons' asses, quite frankly, than look at both of them. But also, #history power daddies without being, without the daddy look, if you will. But very
I agree.
important figures. So,
Succinctly said. I like that.
Yeah, I have Walsingham in my
daddy.
notes. I have Walsingham in my notes as Daddy Walsingham more than once. So, like, I hear you.
Get out of my head. Or I'll get him to yours. How about
I'm
it?
feeling
yes.
that.
Yes.
History power daddies. Let's do this.
I'm sorry, Daddy. I've been a bad girl. For the last time, Stacy, it's forgive me, Father, for I have sinned.
So, like, if you're gonna work as a spy, the person you want at the head of your network is Sir Francis Walsingham. He's like the first spy mogul in English history, as far as I know.
Really quickly, can I call him the Alan Dulles of his day? Just saying, if you want to,
You may.
Randomly give LSD to the population, you're probably going to want Alan Dulles backing it. Same thing without the LSD. Just general chum in the water. This is going to be your guy.
Now I'm just thinking about Walsingham on LSD, and that will carry me through the rest.
Right? Like, digga-digga-digga, digga-digga-digga. You can hear it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Well, so we don't really know what Marlowe did as a spy while he's working for Walsingham, because he's a spy. So, like,
That's
he's
good.
undercover, and no one's keeping records of what exactly you do. But there's loads of theories out there about what he was involved in. Some of them are juicier and more exciting than other ones. I personally love the theory that he was involved in the Babington plot. That was Mary Queen of Scots' attempt to unseat Queen Elizabeth, because that was, as you said, like the big spy drama of the time. And it was really ramping up, like, in the 2 months that Marlowe was recruited as a spy. So, like, the timing is so good that, like, my conspiracy theory heart wants that to be true so much.
Oh, I would love it. I mean, first off, I'm not a fan of Mary Queen of Scots.
Yes, Bethany.
Oh, man.
I guess. Okay, so So I told you before we started recording, Allison, that I didn't know who this person was. So I did a little quick search. And like you said in the very beginning, he's a writer / poet. And when I did start doing a little more digging, it tried to, start talking about him being a spy. And I was like, wait, was he a spy? So why doesn't, I know this is probably the stupidest question, but why isn't that like his signature then? I mean, is this just like a whole cover-up thing, or is it like, I guess I'm confused, because even
Really
some
quickly,
spies are said they're spies when you look them up. So I just
really quickly, this is why I wanted to interrupt, like, Kara, because this is going to go to Kara's point and to Allison's point, because I knew that was going to be your question, Bethany. Like, very important. I feel like I predicted that this was going to be the thing, and so let's get it out now. Yeah.
The spy information is a little bit sketchier and harder to nail down. It's kind of like the 95% accepted theory, but like he was actually, most of his legacy as it's come down through history has been in the writing that he's done. The big impact that he had, and like me as an English major, is Marlowe was kind of the Elizabethan playwright that came right before Shakespeare, inspired Shakespeare, kind of started the kind of writing that Shakespeare does. He was like big ass poetry celebrity during his day. And so he was really famous at the time for that. And the spy thing was kind of, oh, by the way, also, did you know that that incredibly famous writer was also a spy? The way I describe it, it's like if Quentin Tarantino was also doing espionage on the side, like it would that would come up in the biography, both of them.
And I want to kind of launch pad off of what you said. To Bethany, I think the easiest way that you can do it is with espionage then. the less that's known about your work, the better, if you
Well,
will.
no, you're right.
Well, not
Like, I guess,
well.
and like, I thought that was kind of a stupid
Well,
question.
and also because of when, no, it's not, because you have to also consider the age he died. Because it's possible, obviously, if his career, if he continued doing espionage work and continued, well, being alive longer than 29 years, that he could have been kind of like both of those things, depending on what juicy plots he could have potentially gotten involved with. And that's what's so tantalizing about this figure, is he has a very early death, even for these days, which she's going to go into. And he didn't really have that opportunity, I would say, for lack of a better word, to make a name for himself as a spy. Even though, as Allison said, there's details here and there. One of the things that comes up is, so back in the day, he had, and Allison, this was something that when I was doing a little extra digging today, one of the kind of trademarks was that at one point, basically, if you had forged currency, well, I'll put it this way, it was like high penalty. Like, and one of kind of the tells of his espionage and being a spy is there was may or may not have been an incident where he was caught using said currency. So there was a thought that he was using that currency as part of a ruse, so to speak. And that's one of the things that struck out to me, and I'm sure she's going to get to. So I don't want to steal your thunder. Go.
Yeah, no, he was definitely arrested in conjunction with counterfeited money, which, like you said, was a big deal. I think it was like on par with treason, because it was coining money in the name of the queen. And as soon as you start doing anything and pretending you're as powerful as the queen, like that gets
like
hot water. It's bad.
Head on a pike.
But
Tower London.
he was actually arrested for making the money himself with two other guys that he like met in the Netherlands. And so you're like, okay, this man is in the Netherlands with two strangers making English money. That's suspicious and probably connected. Like, what a
Freaking weird.
It's weird. And like, without all of the spy details of what he was actually doing around that, you're like, I have to make up a story that includes counterfeiting money in the Netherlands with two schmoes we found yesterday. Like, it's a really weird detail in the story. But it
He was writing a new play.
About
I'm sure QAnon has made a point about it. Like, money counterfeiting and weirdness starts back here, and he was a lizard person too.
If you put it out there, I'm sure it'll circulate.
Yeah, that's kind of my plan. I want to start putting it out there and being like, you see, this is where you never know. I'm sure it'll be a fucking point on a website with, I don't know, a yellow background and lime green writing in a week. So, that being said.
Who to think?
Who would think? Oh my gosh,
Allison, you're so engaging with this. Sorry, I'm already so into this. I'm pumped about it.
Oh, I'm glad my friends and family are tired of hearing me talk about this. So it is nice to have
You can call me anytime, Allison. I would love to hear more because I am unaware. So I'm here for it. And I got you, boo-boo, okay?
Yes, thank you. So I forget where exactly I was in the timeline. There's that big scholarship. Yeah, so there's the big, messy, what exactly are you doing as a spy while also finishing grad school mystery. And one of the reasons that we know for sure that he was doing spy work and also trying to go to grad school at the same time was there is one of my favorite historical documents in the historical record, which is Queen Elizabeth's Privy Council, like her head honchos, wrote a letter to Cambridge saying, hey, we know Christopher Marlowe's been absent a lot. He's been doing some secret stuff. Can he graduate?
My gosh.
Like,
so
that
he didn't even really get his grad.
And he did. They graduated him after they got that letter. They're like, well, he's been gone for months, but the Queen told us to. And then he made it.
This is like some Lori shit right here, whatever her name is, but paid for her kids. I'm sorry.
That's right.
Some total, like,
Lori
Um,
Loughlin.
thank you. I couldn't think of the last name, but oh my God. So he didn't even really get his degree. He's just been out piddle farting around doing God knows what in the Amazon. Not the Amazon, but you get what I mean.
The British Amazon. Yeah.
You get what I mean. I'm sorry. I know it was not
Technically-
the Amazon. But
Technically, the Privy Council wrote him a note, said he had asthma. He just simply can't, attend PE class.
Yeah,
the
it
entirety of
was
the
your get out
semester.
of school free ticket, basically. I mean, I can't blame the dude. Like, shit.
I mean,
If you use
Wow.
your resources,
he was
If I
ditching
could've done
school
it-
before it was cool.
If I could have done analysis work for the CIA while I was in grad school instead of attending grad school, like, sign me the fuck up. I don't know. They ought to make that a banner. They ought to make that like a draw. Next thing you know, everybody's going to want to work in intelligence analysis and whatever else. Jeez, what a deal. The asthma was rough. The asthma was real. But that's amazing. Absolutely amazing. The Privy Council wrote you an excuse note.
Yeah.
I
I describe it to people like if it's kind of like if Condoleezza Rice was like, you don't have to go to class today. You're fine.
or Colin Powell, or whoever.
like,
Yeah.
the Pope wrote me an excuse.
Papal dispensation. Just graduate.
Yeah,
You're fine.
to
Oh,
graduate.
Lord, you are now a graduate.
Look, Mom,
So-
I did it. I did it. Mom, be proud.
Yeah, his mom's like, I can't read, so I'm gonna assume that that's good. That's kind of how.
I'm sorry, I can't read. I'm covered in scabies and I have a case of dysentery. But if I wasn't, I'd be
I'm
toast
so proud. I'm so proud. I knew he could do it.
So what does he do after he gets his get out of college free card, courtesy of the Queen?
Bitch.
Yes. So what my boy does is he decides all of his life he's wanted to be a poet. He wants to write plays. He wants to be famous. So he goes to London, which is what you do if you want to be famous at this time. And like it's the Hollywood of England. So if you want to make it big, that's where you go.
It's West End before West End was a thing.
Exactly. Yeah. So he's been working on a play while he was in college, while he was being a spy, because apparently multitasking like that is really easy to do. And by the time he gets to London, this play is done. He sells it. It's a huge hit. Everybody's obsessed. It plays for like 20 years. Even after he's dead, they keep staging this play. Everybody's obsessed with it. So basically, he goes to London after he graduates and becomes immediate theater celebrity, which, like, if only it were that easy for the rest of us.
Right? Like, okay, sure. Just wake up one day and be like, yeah, I'm that famous.
I'm just trying to even think of a modern comparison to that, I just can't. I'm at a blank.
Yeah. I don't know.
There isn't one that I can think of.
No, because the Mouseketeers didn't always do well, right?
Well, and like, plus that plug of he literally comes from nothing. So even though, like,
Yeah.
If you're Lena Dunham, of course HBO is going to give you your own show because your dad's your dad. But I don't know that there's a comparison of I came from nothing. Then I got
nobody's gonna be
a scholarship to Cambridge, and then I turned around and started an entire massively successful career. It's pretty extraordinary.
I mean, nobody's really going to be interested, especially with a shoe. Was supposed to be a shoe maker. That was his destiny. And then all of a sudden here he is. Like, I don't know. It's pretty interesting how he got here to this point.
Mm-hmm.
To be
And one thing
honest,
I've always wondered is, like, he's been working pretty closely with, like, the highest up people in government for a few years by now. Like, does that help you get your foot in the door when you're trying to sell your first play? I'm sure it doesn't hurt that you're 1 degree of separation from the Queen, but Like, that's not going to get you all the way, but it's a help.
Does Walsingham
Yeah.
him write you like a letter of recommendation? Like, but he writes it in code, okay? With invisible ink.
Then you're going to be a playwright, which inevitably has political overtones, and that is still, I don't know, he's kind of a big, he's kind of a hashtag big deal when you consider all that. Like, it's the ultimate cover, really.
I feel like he just woke up one day and was like, you know what? I'm going to be this today. Like, I just, like, I get that feeling from him right now. Like, I don't want to be a shoemaker. I'm going to be a college graduate. And then it's just like, it goes on from there. I'm going to be a spy. You know what? Screw that. I'm going to graduate college, but I'm not really. Like, it's very odd to me at how he's gotten to this point in his life. Because you're right. I can't even think of an example of anybody that I can fully, even a celebrity. Like, I can't even, like, think of anybody that would even correlate to this.
One could argue he's history making, and that maybe that's why we have Allison on to talk about him. I don't know. It could be a unique figure in history. That's why we got a guest with a unique insight and knowledge to gab about him. So from there, he becomes a playwright. What happens next? Sells this fresh out of school.
Yeah. Sells that, immediately writes the sequel and sells the sequel, which is like the first play that makes him a success is called Tamburlaine, which is the name of the main character. And literally the second play is Tamburlaine Part 2. Like, he invented the Fast and Furious model, and I respect that so hard.
God damn it, Marlowe.
Oh my god!
Your employee in me is like,
It dates all the way back. It makes sense.
Sure works.
Also, if I'd have had to name a cat, which I did not, Tamburlaine was going to be my second choice for the second one I got. No, it worked out well, but that's hilarious. That's why I got so excited today, because obviously fate did not occur that way, but I started dying laughing. I was like, of course. Yes, this is what of course. So he invents Fast and Furious, as you put it, which is just the most amazing way I've ever heard that term. It was really good. I'm gonna laugh about that later tonight multiple times. That's happened. So what's he do after he's just a massive success again? Because God help us all. Like, whatever he touches.
So what he decides to do, and this is where, God bless him, I love him, he does not have a lot of common sense as a person, because he is one of the most, if not the most famous playwright in all of England, maybe all of Europe, who's to say. He's also a secret agent. And what he decides to do is get a reputation as the most scandalous, heretical, just nonsense person in all of England. And like, everyone's starting to look at him and go, this guy is up to some stuff that can get you in some serious trouble. So it's taken a turn for him.
You would think he would keep a low profile being a spy, but
But
he's
no.
going the exact opposite route. Okay, this is going to be interesting and very fun, I feel.
A real routine before it was popular, if you will.
Yes. So like,
He
the
invented
context.
it.
Yes, he did. The context is like, in Elizabethan England, like, religion and law are like basically the same thing. You go against the Church of England, you're gonna run into problems, you're gonna get executed, basically.
Yeah.
And so
Queen of
Marlowe,
head of the Church of England.
yes. Mm-hmm. And so what Marlowe starts building a reputation as an atheist who is loud and vocal about it in a time when that will get you killed.
Yeah.
As a gay man in a time when that will get you killed.
Holy crap.
As a wild blasphemer who's like making sex jokes about Jesus in a time when that will definitely get you killed. So,
man,
Can you
he was
imagine Lord
basically
Burleigh?
just
Lord
He-
Burleigh
he's
is
just-
probably like,
Cecil's just sitting at Whitehall like, oh my god, why did we hire this man? This is the worst decision we've ever made.
Walsingham's probably like, oh shit, logic failed me there.
We made a mistake.
Maybe.
But this
I mean,
wasn't just like overnight, right? Or did he just, like I said before, just woke up and decided to be this crazy atheist gay man? Like, I'm so like, who is this guy? Like, he seems crazy.
Yeah, I think what my understanding is, like, he's been like that the whole time, but no one paid attention to him until he got extremely famous. So he published exactly. Phil Collins starts to play in the background.
I love you.
I'm surprised his mom and dad didn't like try and arrange him a marriage, though. That being said, with what time period we're talking about.
Yeah, that surprises me too. That there's I mean, you can go searching through the historical record for like any time Marlowe spoke to a woman, and you can count them on one hand. It's like there's nothing. It's infuriating to me, honestly, but he published
He's like,
6 plays before he died, and I'll get the number wrong, but there's like 4 women total anywhere in there, and one of them is secretly a demon in disguise. So like, there's not a lot.
Huh.
it
What?
could be worse. He could be John Knox.
You know, it could be worse. He's just mostly largely indifferent, and you know, when you're looking at historical men, I will take indifference any day. Like, fine. Just pretend I'm not there.
Compared to some of the other possibilities.
Yes.
Hashtag
Yeah.
not a fanny fan. Okay, like that's what I'm gonna call it. Hashtag not a fanny fan. That's all right.
All
Like,
right.
That was his. Although I have to say, as much shit as Oscar Wilde gets about it, this guy's really ahead of the fucking learning curve.
Yes.
Like,
He set the
doesn't
pace.
he definitely out the gate. He is your straight up Bob Baffert winner of the Kentucky Derby, if you will, of fucking I don't give a shit. That's exactly the best way I can describe it. All right, so
Absolutely.
doesn't give a shit. Libertine before his time, making waves, doing the worst things that you can do in a time of an Elizabethan government. What does he do next? That's how I feel.
Seriously, what else could he do at this point? Fly a pony into space just because he woke up that day and said, hey, this is what I'm going to do? Like, I am convinced this man is crazy at this point. Like, I'm already convinced this man literally is just, maybe LSD isn't a thing yet, but I'm pretty sure he's invented it as well. Like,
Or maybe he's just Elon Musk before the time to be Elon Musk. I feel like he's
at this
the equivalent.
At this point, I would believe it.
He is the, if you will, writing equivalent of I'm going to launch a car into space today. And it's
Like,
just because I feel like it. And I got the time and I got
Yes.
the money. And I'm just
Fuck
feeling
it.
these vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Sorry.
knowing
What
that's
does
where
he do
he's
next?
What does he do next? I'm glad you
Story.
asked, because what he does next is murder. So you're just
Oh, damn! That was my second guess. That should have been. That was my.
so close.
So close. Tony into space, murder. I was just a
In
hair
the
off.
same wheelhouse. And I will clarify that he did not actually commit the murder. I feel like I'm slandering his reputation, but he's hanging out with what reputation he has left to slander. But he's his friend in a bar somewhere, as you do when it's Elizabethan London. There's nowhere else to go. And somehow a bar altercation escalates into a sword fight in the street, and a man is stabbed and killed. And we don't know exactly why. Like, sometimes a sword fight just happens, so why not?
Huh.
But
I mean, that just
Why
sounds
not?
perfect for the time, era. I would expect nothing else, like, except for, open my shutters to you wring out the rag I have and see him, two men down on the street, cobble street, drunken, sword fighting. I would expect nothing less.
So not only has he Elon Musked himself, he's also Malkovich dangerous liaisons at this point. Like,
oh my God, you're right. You're so right. I totally.
Who is this guy? Like, for real?
Who
a
is
real
Christopher Marlowe?
post-Renaissance man, if you will.
Oh, Lord. Sorry, continue. This guy is intriguing me.
I am glad. So he gets arrested, as you do when you kill a man.
Naturally,
Then,
hopefully.
inexplicably, he is bailed out of jail, like, immediately. He's in jail for,
I
like,
wonder how that could
a
happen.
week. Exactly. You think, does he know anybody who could possibly bail him out of prison for murder? Oh, the Queen would be a good
think the Queen, but Queen Elizabeth, knowing her, I could see her being like, let's let him like sit in prison for a few days to just think about what he's done and then let him out, because that's what she does with people like Dudley. So, you know,
because characteristically, she believes this somehow teaches chronic narcissists a lesson. Yeah, no, why not? Oh,
I would love to see her take on him. Like, you know what I mean? Just say, do you know this guy Walsingham's employed for you? Like, tell me more. What do you think, Beth? Well, not Beth. I wouldn't call her good Queen Beth.
What up, Queen Beth? I would. Bethany, we're basically the same thing. Let's be sisters. I would. She would deny it, though, Kara. You know for a fact. Deny. It's all high political little figures, and it's
You're
just
right. That's what she
always
did best. Avoid and deny.
Wait, are we defining the meaning of the word "if" on the record at this point? Like, really pulling a Bill Clinton on this? So, all right, that's exciting. But he's bailed out of jail. I can't wait to hear whatever he does next, because I can't imagine it's full of good sense.
It's not, and we talked about it earlier briefly, but this is where the jetting off to the Netherlands to start making fake money comes in, because that's what you're going to do when you get bailed out of jail.
That's what one does after you just get done killing and getting arrested for killing.
You go across the channel and get arrested again for something even weirder.
Oh God, no! You're supposed to go and lay low, idiot.
I'm interested at what an FBI like behavioral unit would make of him, because he takes a step back from murder to counterfeiting. You know, you feel like that's on the way up. No. This guy wants to like reverse it. Yeah. That's how revolutionary he is, folks. He's going to reverse it. So he's arrested again for counterfeiting.
It's insane. How does one go from murder? Oh, my first offense ever is murder, and then my second offense is shoplifting at the Gap. You know, like,
unless he's being characteristically uncouth and not smooth and trying to use his tricks for espionage.
All on purpose? He's doing this all on purpose?
That's a very good point, Kara.
Like, he's either playing 4-dimensional chess or he has no idea what he's doing. There's no in between.
It's possible both. I mean, think about Europe at that time period, right? Like, you have England under Queen Elizabeth, who the Church of England has isolated England from a lot of continental Europe. So there was a lot of interest in wanting to have spies around to kind of see which way the wind's blowing. Obviously, they had enemies in Spain. They had enemies with Rome. I could hypothetically see him being sent on a mission and being characteristically not particularly discreet. I was like, this is the best way to go about things.
And bizarrely enough, nobody was in my belief, like, nobody was particularly discreet when it came to spying. And in a way, I think that's why it kind of works out. You're this ridiculous personality, and sort of going into the early modern period. It's like, nobody believes this jackass is a spy. I mean, he's murdering people, counterfeiting money. Like, he's definitely not here on behalf of a government. I mean, he's barely apparently here on behalf of himself. And so it's actually a quite clever thing and makes a bunch of stupid things, despite not being a great thinker, as Allison has pointed out. So he's either somewhere between Forrest Gump or goddamn Bobby Fischer, and we don't know what the difference is.
And I feel like 1 minute he's Bobby Fischer, and then the next he's being Forrest Gump. So like he plays both sides very well.
Shit
and then
happens.
Yep. That way.
Shit happens. Exactly. So now he's been arrested by a foreign government for counterfeiting, correct? Or was it? Yeah.
He was arrested and then he was sent back to England to face trial because he was counterfeiting English money, and so that's only an English crime.
Oh God. Big mistake, buddy.
I mean,
It's like reverse Brexit.
again.
It's reverse Brexit. Instead of
Reverse Brexit.
we send you back. What would it be? Returned? God.
Return. Brexit.
Oh my God.
And Brenter.
Brenter. I was about to say it's a Brenter move. Very, oh shit, Kara, that was funny. Okay, so he's sent back for trial, and I think we all know what's going to happen next, but let's go ahead and listen in.
Yeah, so he gets off, as we all knew he would. But I think at this point, the spy master, which at this point I believe is Robert Cecil, who succeeded Walsingham.
Yeah, because Walsingham dies pretty.
He died, a few years ago. So now there's a new guy in charge, and he's starting to think maybe this wacky spy is getting a little bit out of hand. For some reason, the counterfeiting was the last straw. So what they do is they put Marlowe on probation, essentially. They make him report to the council every morning, so you can't get out of town. They're like, you slip up one more time, there will be consequences.
One more P test that's failed, buddy. You done.
You're out of here. You shit. Oh my God, Kara, that was
delinquent.
That was super funny. He's on a real piss test basis at this point. Yeah, got it. Okay. Yeah. So he's on probation for being a royal jackass, literally and figuratively. So let's see what happens.
Yeah. So, he's kind of on his very last strike, and then he uses up that very last strike. What happens is he used to be living with a guy in London as roommates. I'm pretty sure they were just roommates. I don't know. I don't feel it. But he was living with another playwright named Thomas Kidd. And Thomas Kidd's apartment gets raided by the London-y police. I'm not sure what the police were called back then. But they uncover a bunch of really scandalous heretical papers that are like high treason to have. And Kidd, under torture, is like, those are Marlowe's. Those are Marlowe's. He left him here when he moved out. I have nothing at all to do with that. So.
Shit.
Yeah.
Shit.
But would you have to be tortured though to throw somebody under the bus? Like, if it wasn't your shit, I would say that without being tortured, man. I'd be like,
I mean, unless he's not the roommate, unless he's not really a roommate. What if he really loved him? You know what I mean? Some people will do things to protect the ones that they love, Kara. It's true.
But then there's a cynic in me that's like, I didn't encourage this shit.
Yeah, but when you're facing down the tower, man, I think that that might change a lot of your.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I love my husband. I'd spill the beans, though, if I was. I mean, no offense.
Fuck yeah, you would. If you're looking down, if you're taking that little shit boat to the tower, you're going, nope, wasn't me. Let me tell you, it was. And this is how it shakes out.
Exactly.
Yeah. You don't have to even get me in the little boat.
Date, wait, I'll get you the Social Security, whatever you need.
So, does he die under torture, or what happens with him?
He didn't die. He lived a little while afterward, but he was badly injured under torture, and he died shortly after.
Wow, that sucks.
Yeah.
He just lived with a man.
And that's why you have to vet your roommates before you pick them.
Or you might be tortured.
These spies.
You never know.
That's insane.
Yeah, no, it sucks. That sucks for him real bad. But at
Same
this
reason
point,
you vet your fiancés. Hashtag 90-day fiancé. But never know what you'll get.
Girl, don't even get. I'm not gonna preach about it, but
She's
just
into
saying,
it, which is why I said that.
on the terms of 90-day fiance, I'm pretty sure that Brandon's family, who own a mud hole shit farm out here in Virginia, not too far from where I'm currently living, and call it a working farm, definitely thought they were procuring a mail order farm worker / sex worker for their son. Just want to put it out there. That being said, I'm going to get off my 90-day. Girl, this is my new Tiger King. This is my new Tiger King. I'm just saying, these people, the number of times that I say these goddamn people for this show.
So there's no fiance for Marlowe. I mean, obviously we know he's not into women, but I mean, not even an attempt at any point in his life. Obviously not before Cambridge, not during Cambridge, because obviously.
I think he's just wanting to be crazy and do his own thing, honestly. He's all over the map, so.
At least seen an interest in having a cover, so that is interesting to me.
Yeah, because a lot of times, not even sexuality-wise, you have a cover at this point, so you'll do what you have to do. You'll pop a kid in, whatever, but that doesn't mean that's what you enjoy.
Yeah, and there's lots of theories about who Marlowe might have been romantically involved with. One of them I don't believe, because I don't even think he'd be that stupid, but there's a rumor that he was involved with Walsingham's cousin, which I'm like,
no,
you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't.
No.
That's a lot of people pick that up, and I'm just like, I wouldn't sleep with my boss's cousin. That's weird. So, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And I think if Walsingham's cousin is sleeping with anybody, it's like a low-key servant. You know what I'm saying? No.
Yeah.
The cousin isn't that stupid, more or less anybody else. So, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Interesting rumor, though. All right,
so things are getting bad at this point. Here's kind of this bit. They're getting a little bit shady. So this is kind of where the story reaches the worst bit for Marlowe. And this is also where it gets a little bit mysterious. So he, at some point after Kid has been arrested and tortured and whatnot, he goes to a bar outside of London, meets up with 3 people. They chat for a morning. They hang out for a few hours. And by the end of the meeting that he has with these 3 people, Marlowe has been stabbed and he is dead.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
You're not kidding about it got worse.
It got worse.
That escalated beyond what I was prepared for. I was ready for another sword fight or puppeteering. Who did a better impression? I don't know. At this point, I'm like, wait, are we going into a dance battle? with the three other guys. Like, who's gonna win? Nope, he's dead. Okay,
Nope.
cool.
Now it's a whodunit, though, right? Because now it's like, well, there's a lot of people that want to kill this fucker. So,
Absolutely.
I mean, how does one narrow it down, Allison?
Yeah. Well, the three people that he met at this bar have all been connected at some point, either now or in the past, to Walsingham's spy network, which makes you wonder, was this an inside job? Did they just get tired of him being a liability? What, did he have information on somebody else? Who's to say? The story that they put out in the press was that he got into a fight with one of the other guys about who was going to pay the bar tab, and it escalated and he got killed, which is like not a good excuse. So I don't know anybody who believes that, but
That's pretty lame, even for, I mean, especially with this guy that has been, like, everybody knows and has been doing all this crazy stuff. He gets into it over a bar tab.
Doesn't
Even
make
I
sense.
wouldn't be fooled. I'm sorry. Nay, I say. Nay.
hey. And then the other complicating factor is that, like, those three guys are arrested, like you would expect for murder, and none of them are convicted. They all get off. And so, like, someone's kind of encouraging them. We don't know exactly who. We don't know, was it some powerful English person who was like, I just can't have this guy knowing my secrets? Was it the actual spy master? That's where people start to, like, spiral out your conspiracy theories.
Well, it does sound very familiar, just like when he killed somebody, he was only in there for a short while. He did have to do time, whereas these ones didn't have to do any, if I'm understanding that correct. I just, like, that sounds vaguely familiar, but even better, or even more closely circled, or closer in the you know what I mean? Like, they're in the tighter circle,
Yeah.
Yeah. Kara has a question really quickly.
Shakespeare. Marlowean theory of Shakespeare. Because I've been waiting. I'm on the edge of my seat. I have to know your thoughts on authorship.
Okay. Great. Because I have them. I have a lot of them. But I will teach the controversy, and then we can talk. But the theory, one of the conspiracy theories that follows Marlowe around, is that he didn't actually die in that bar fight that day.
What?
They think things were getting too spicy in Marlowe land, so he faked his death and then assumed a new identity and kind of resumed his life. And lots of people think that the new identity he picked up was William Shakespeare, who started being extremely popular pretty shortly after Marlowe's suspicious death. So, rumor.
My God.
If that were him,
Oh.
he did get a beard.
A whole
That's
bunch
true.
of QAnon members got together and thought, nobody's going to follow a trend of blank verse, right? Like, oh my God, there can only be one person that ever writes in blank verse ever. And so it has to be, no, but essentially, Allison is correct. I'm so excited to get into this. Kara, I'm pumped. You brought up.
I know.
I'm just like,
dying.
woo.
Yes. I want to
was
hear Kara's
like-
opinions if you've got them, because I have mine, but they're highly biased. So I'm like, I will listen to others.
No, I want to hear yours because everybody's been used to, at this point, listening to me spiel like whatever I feel out into the universe. So this is something I'm not versed on. I would much rather hear your theories and your thoughts.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm still trying to process this bombshell that's just been dropped on me. I was not prepared for that assumption whatsoever. But I'm here for it, but holy crap.
It's a surprise twist.
I really was not. I was not. You mentioned William Shakespeare earlier, and you would bring him up again, and I was like, Okay. That's not where I thought that was going. Wow. Okay. I'm
Bethany was waiting for a blank verse, like sort of, like something to follow
They
later
met.
on as like,
They met in a bar.
inspiration,
In the bar.
yada yada.
Yeah. And tour,
Not,
and they met and fell in
not
love.
this.
I don't fucking know. This is
Oh,
not.
there's stories about that too. Trust me, I read them.
Oh,
But
okay.
Yeah,
who knows?
yeah, and there's also some very interesting fan fiction to that point. That being
Yeah,
said,
there is.
let's go ahead and skip ahead. Let's hear Allison's theorizing.
Okay, my theorizing loudly and clearly is that I think it is bullshit. I don't buy it for a hot minute, and I think anybody who looks closely at at Marlowe plays and Shakespeare plays, like they're writing about such different things. Like Marlowe's plays, and I'm aware that he was young when he wrote them. He died at 29, so like if I stopped writing in my 20s, like it's not going to be what I do for the rest of my life. But it's all like the action movies of Elizabethan theater. It's just one bloody battle after the other, horrible things happening to horrible people, horribly all the time. And
like there's such a differentiation between pure violence and maybe nuanced violence. I agree. Like that should be the primary fucking signature on the page. Oh my God, I just got so excited you said that. But sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead, continue.
No, like exactly though. Can you imagine Marlowe writing a comedy after you've read his plays? No. Could he write As You Like It? No. Could he write Midsummer Night's Dream? No. It's a different personality, and it's just like, are you looking at the evidence on the page? I don't think you are, and it's like that's where I get fired up because it's just like you want a good story, and like there are some Marlowe allusions in Shakespeare plays because he was super famous. That's why there's Marlowe allusions in the plays, not because he wrote them.
Oh, so good.
Wow. I mean, you're right though, because William Shakespeare, not only did he do that, but it was a lot of love too. Like the way he wrote, in my opinion, Shakespeare's was very poetic in that sense. So, and seeing that but maybe he was, I don't know, I'm being a conspiracist here, but maybe he was showing his true side. That's why. I don't know. Who knows?
Cut quickly, cut quickly to me being in any basic or literature class when some smartass wants to say this as far as like early modern, like post-Renaissance sort of early modern writing when I'm screaming into a pillow. Allison, you just put that into word form, and I'm very excited that it's been on my podcast. Kara has a question.
I have more of a comment question, as normal for me. I think part of where this stems from, the whole, or how about this, where it resurfaced from, is back in 2016, Oxford announced that using big data and like comparisons of writing, that Marlowe should be co-attributed with several of his works, including, I believe it was Henry VI, if I'm not mistaken.
Part one.
Henry VI, Part 1, yeah. So, I mean, what do you think about that? I mean, I'm curious for your opinion on that and how they went about that, just because it's been in the news, so to speak.
For sure. Yeah. No, I saw that article because about 19 of my friends sent it to me at the same time. So I have a reputation. Yeah. But that doesn't shake my theory at all. It doesn't bother me. I mean, it's pretty well known that like early modern playwrights co-wrote plays all the time. Like Beaumont and Fletcher are always said as Beaumont and Fletcher. There are two guys who wrote plays together. That's just what they did. So like, yeah, people collaborated on these plays. It was a collaborative process. And also like, I personally love that they pointed at Henry VI Part 1 and said, yeah, maybe Marlowe wrote some of this. Cause I'm like, yeah, Joan of Arc is summoning demons. I bet he did write some of this. This is like, I see it right there. I agree. So I'm your friend.
Oh my God, get out of my head again. Get out of my head again. Just screaming and fucking pillow reading articles like Oxford, this is why you're not Cambridge, but that's just my personal opinion. Guys, like, just saying, no, fuck. Like, I remember seeing that and just being livid.
It just seems sloppy,
okay.
though, in my opinion.
It
seems
sloppy.
Like the reason I say it's sloppy is because the whole projection is just based on speculation and some similarities. And like you said, if that's commonplace for there to be kind of a Rodgers and Hammerstein situation going on, isn't that misleading? Like, for them to be presenting it that way?
I don't even think it was like Roger and Hammerstein. That's like being nice. I think it was the two motherfuckers from the Muppets, like up in the balcony in this case. Like,
I tried to give Marlowe some dignity.
I just
Can you imagine
like
a Shakespearean, like, or even a Marlowe's version of like The Sound of Music or some wild shit like that, like Oklahoma?
I would watch a Marlowe, Oklahoma so fast. Oh my god.
Oh my god. It would be the most amazing musical of all time, and then some. No, I see that there, but I also, like, this is one of those, like, history conspiracy theories. I just absolutely, like, we all know I turn my nose up at a lot of shit because I'm a pretentious asshole, but this is one of those that I'm just like, come on. There could not be a bigger world of difference.
Yeah.
So then I guess I have a question. If he wasn't supposedly not dead and presumed, a different identity, what is your opinion? Did he die, like actually die in that bar? Is that what you think that happens? Or is that what history tells us? Or I guess I'm just curious now why there are so many rumors. Is it just like, I guess I'm curious as how this even became a rumor. Like, how do you...
I will tell you two things. And one, yes, I think he is dead. I think he died when he was murdered. And it is very tempting to look for a cool conspiracy theory when someone's living a wacky, eccentric life. But, like, I think he died that day. And I also think that would we have these conspiracy theories if people weren't always looking for the real person who wrote Shakespeare? No. I think people are so convinced that Shakespeare didn't write Shakespeare that they're just like, wouldn't this be a cool twist? And, like, this is the other point I was going to say about the authorship question, is that it's a fucking classist nightmare because people are just desperately looking for someone who went to college who could have written Shakespeare, and it makes me so mad.
I never looked at it that way. I didn't even realize that there were people, maybe I feel a little silly, but I didn't even realize that people don't want to believe that William Shakespeare wrote William Shakespeare stuff, but I didn't realize that was I apologize, I didn't realize.
It's an entire subreddit on a subreddit. Like,
it's
the biggest bunch of bullshit you've ever heard in your life.
Yeah,
And
that's probably
kind of thing.
That's probably why I've never heard of it.
You're not going down the English professor subreddits, and honestly, good for you. They're a terrible.
Okay. Yay for me for not being a nerd. Awesome.
Anybody that believes otherwise, I think that your doctorate should be revoked, just like on principle. And you know what? You shouldn't be allowed to own small animals either. I think maybe you shouldn't own a cat or a dog. I don't know. That's the kind of fucking crazy you're dealing with, I think, when you take that view. But that's my personal take on it.
But clearly, body, if he was murdered in this, right, he went to this place with these people, there would be a body, correct?
There was a body, and a body was buried. You can put that in passive voice as much as your conspiracy theory heart desires.
Okay. Yeah, I get it.
110%. It's sort of one of those, how does Giovanni Borgia end up in a fucking, river kind of things. But I think we all know the answer to that question. Exactly. So that being said, I don't know do you have the other like bullshit conspiracy theories on it? Like, you take it away on what else you have for us here.
Yeah, you debunk this.
Yeah, I mean, the other conspiracy theory is that he just went off onto the continent and like started being a spy elsewhere under an assumed name, which like, why would you do that? I don't know. Basically the conspiracy theories are all variations on he's dead, but what if he wasn't dead and he went off and did something else fun? Which, like, you can follow that rabbit hole as much as you want, and you can come up with 14 other people who might have written Shakespeare if that makes you happy. But I don't have a lot of patience for the conspiracy theories. The only use I have for them is that they're like, they get people interested in the story, and I'm cool with that. But I don't spend a lot of time on them because it's like really obviously bullshit to me.
It keeps them talking about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bad press is still
it keeps everybody talking about everything. And Allison, I absolutely love that theory, and that the factualization of somebody who had not been formally educated could not possibly be William Shakespeare. And
it sounds
always
like a
funny
classist thing
to me.
Yeah,
it is to this day, and that I believe it's always like kind of classist ivory tower twats that want to float that. And so that's always very interesting to me, and I'm so glad you brought that up. It's all sort of ridiculous to me.
Ugh. Yeah, that's the only noise to make.
Yeah, exactly. I can make 1,000 of them, but it's like somebody's more pretentiously gross than I am sounds. Ooh.
Now, I have a question for you, Allison. So,
yeah,
what made you decide to write, I guess, a novel on him? I mean, given that there's so much mystery about his life, to me, obviously, you can't completely write a biography. But like, what made you like say, okay, this is going to be what I write about, and this is what I'm going to publish?
I feel like I could answer that, honestly, at this point, because I feel like I could, honestly, just because this man is intriguing. I mean, I know you're going to answer it, Allison, but dang,
that's what I'm going to say.
I've been sitting here pondering this whole thing. I'm like, dude, should I go down some rabbit holes? Like, I feel like I'm missing out on some shit right now. Like, my brain is just, like, on fire right now, but I'll let you answer, Allison. I'm just going to say, like, I feel like I could answer it for you.
No, that's the reaction I want. So, like, ideal. I want to spark 1,000 rabbit holes. But, like, I was in a college class at, like, the dumb age of 19, and my professor was like, we're going to talk about old English poets today. And we went through all the boring ones. We did, like, the stupid biographies that are like, he went to Oxford, and then he got some debts, and then he went to prison, and then he had a wife, and then he died. We did that about 14 times. And then he's like, okay, and now we're going to talk about Dr. Faustus, written by Christopher Marlowe, who was an atheist gay spy who might have gotten murdered. And I was like, okay, I'm going to want you to go into a little bit more detail about that, because I'm paying attention.
You got through all the OPU twats, and then you're like, who the fuck is this guy? Okay.
I dug my own rabbit hole, and then my rabbit hole connected with the rabbit hole of Mary Queen of Scots, which is my other favorite rabbit hole. And so then I just fell to the
Excuse me, like this.
We're gonna live here now.
We're gonna bathe.
Where I live.
Yeah.
Cover.
This is what I do. You don't have to love it, but this is where we're at now. So
yeah.
Okay, now Allison, on the spot, did Mary Queen of Scots write those letters? Were the casket letters legit? Have to know now.
My opinion, for whatever my opinion is worth, yes. She absolutely did.
She sure as shit did.
Would have had Elizabeth murdered if she could have gotten away with it. And I
was desperate. And again, I'm not a particular fan of her, but she was in a desperate situation, and desperate times call for desperate measures. The problem, and Bethany, this is the nutshell of Mary Queen of Scots. She was outspied. She was outplayed. She had better loyalty. That's, in my opinion, what it amounts to.
I will argue, though, before she was desperate, she already had a stance on this. When she was very secure in a sort of Princess position, she was always going to say, "Oh, it's mine, my throne." Like, she was always of that opinion. That's just me personally. I'll always believe that, and I see no evidence to the contrary. In fact, although a lot of people want to present that, I don't think it's born of being desperate. I think it's born of being a bit uppity, if you will, not of a new dynasty, if you will. And I always think she's an interesting figure, and I love how that comes to play. Kara, that was a fucking killer question.
Well, and speaking of, I have a follow-up question for Bethany. To clarify, I think what Bethany's thinking. Allison, can you clarify, I guess, what the intrigue, what the espionage would have been going on during this time period? Like, what's going on here at the time Marlowe's on the scene?
Yeah. So, Mary, Queen of Scots, is in England at this point. She's like one of the alternatives. Like, she has as good of a claim to the throne as Elizabeth does. Because of all that Henry VIII nonsense.
So you have to understand, I've watched the show Reign on Netflix. Okay, and I know that not everything on there is historically correct.
You mean
by
like
any
prom
means.
Dresses?
Yeah. Like all of it. Look at my face. Look at my seriousness.
Yes.
Look at
I know.
my face.
I remember. I remember I called Jessica and I was like, Jessica, guess what? I really love Mary Queen of Scots because I'm watching the show Reign. And she was like, Bethany, no. And I was like, oh, damn it. I thought I was doing so well. I was like, oh. But I do love it. Like, I love it. Yeah. But I knew, because of that show, I do know that she has just as much right to that English title. In the show, she makes it seem like, oh, I don't want it.
Yeah, but she did. I think she did.
Oh, wouldn't you?
I mean, act of succession.
Hello. If they say it's mine, I'm gonna fucking take it. Like, it's my birthright. So
here's my thing, though. If you're like a Catholic monarch, okay, that's unpopular in Scotland because you have John Knox flaring his evil ways, and I won't say evil because it's funny. I grew up Presbyterian. But basically, you have John Knox, who's like sitting here saying Mary Queen of Scots is the devil, Elizabeth's a devil. Females are all sucky rulers. Like, if I were her, why would you strive for the English throne? If that makes sense.
Change.
You're an ambitious bitch who wants to win.
I mean, especially after Mary the First, though, was that really going to happen? Were they really going to swing the pendulum back to Catholicism? Hell no.
I mean, I think we're going to try.
If you think God's telling you to do, and God's like, you should make this a Catholic country, you're not going to be like, I wonder what the odds are. You're going to be like, yeah, okay, let's go, God. Let's try.
Yeah, it's that divine right of kings and queens sort of shit kicking in. And then also, you've got a long, proud line.
Yep.
That believes it deserves the throne. And furthermore, I think a lot of she got a royal taste of fucking power.
So Mary Queen of Scots is in England. Is she? Because I know she's gone there a few times, like during this whole thing, right? Or didn't she? Or she just went there once
for a while. Because she comes to England, and Elizabeth is like, this person would like to kill me and take my throne. So I'm going to put her under house arrest, and we're going to keep an eye on her, and she can't leave, so she can't assassinate me, which is basically...
She gets put from house to house.
Yeah.
FYI, bad luck for her. If a Plantagenet couldn't pull it off on a Tudor, she's certainly not going to get it done.
So that's what's happening, like, behind the scenes of Christopher Marlowe, Kit doing his thing. That's what's happening.
Because while he's becoming a spy, Mary's kind of like cranking up her plots because she would really love to get out of house arrest and be Queen of England, in my opinion. So she's starting to create this alliance with Spain, which is the other big Catholic powerful country. She's like, wouldn't it be great if we could get the Spanish Navy to float on up to England, attack England, kill the Queen, and instate me as Queen of England? Like, that's
Too
her
bad
big...
it'll happen, but after she's dead.
Yep.
Yeah.
Too bad.
Spoiler.
He sank, but like, what are you gonna do?
I think Catherine de Medici gave her a little too much of a taste of what true power might be like. But then again, Mary neglects to understand that she's not got a Florentine bank behind her. She doesn't have sort of clout
Scotland's
on the
quite
continent. Poor. Yeah.
Yeah, and to come to Mary's defense, like, I love her. I am the Mary Queen of Scots defender on this podcast. Is she a good person? No. Is she making good decisions? No. But like, I admire.
Is Christopher Marlowe making good decisions? No.
Yes. You notice a trend here. I'm like, I admire the brass balls on these people so much.
We appreciate that.
It's the same reason you don't have to apologize. It's the same reason I love fucking Napoleon. The brass balls on these motherfucker. Like, I don't give a shit. I'm not here to like give a shit. That's not my thing. I'm not here for the betterment of a nation. I'm not here for the It's mine. It's my divine right. Whether it be as a playwright, like I'm gonna live my life my way, or as a potential and certainly actual queen. Like I don't give a shit. Mine. Kara.
Allison, I want to ask you on your pop culture depictions on Marlowe. Thoughts?
Yes. Many thoughts. Do you have one in particular, or do you want my overall opinion of all the ones? I
was thinking Shakespeare in Love, but I'm not a fan of that movie though. It makes me angry because Elizabeth came out the same year that Shakespeare in Love did, and guess which one won Best Picture, which was, in my opinion, bullshit. Sorry, Academy Awards. Any movie that starts out with burning heretics deserves the Academy Award, and that's how Elizabeth started out. So
I feel like this entire podcast has been engineered to make me scream into pillows tonight, including the mention of Shakespeare in Love. So let's go from there.
Okay, to open it, I love Shakespeare in Love top 10 movies. Is it accurate? No. But I love how much fun it is.
I saw your eyes there.
I will fight for it. Don't care. However, the depiction of Marlowe is trash. It's trash.
Oh, yeah, it's trash. But also, can I say, the existence of Ralph Fiennes helps me to,
Oh, my God.
Bring it around.
Okay, yep.
Not mad about that.
No, that was a good casting, at least.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah, but Shakespeare in Love makes Marlowe the quiet, middle-aged man who sits in a bar and helps Shakespeare come up with ideas and then gets killed for helping him out, which is like, what? Are you kidding?
He never even became middle-aged.
I know! I'm like, why is he so much older than him? They're the same age. It really bothers me.
Precisely. I scream at the television a lot. And just so we know, I watch most historical dramas and again scream at the television. Rather like what happens when I watch Fox News, just like I scream at the television. And it's sort of the same feel. But that being said, let's talk about some of your maybe like favorite or least favorite pop culture references that we see when it comes to Marlowe.
Yeah. I will start by saying that I did not enjoy this show and it was terrible, and I don't think it got picked up for a second season. But it was called Will. I think it was on TNT. So someone else has seen it, so I'm not making it up, which is great. But like, I loved that Marlowe. It was so ridiculous and over the top and goth and horny and weird, And it was so much fun. And like, I spent the whole time watching that show laughing my ass off, but like in a way that felt seen.
You are not making it up, because I know exactly what you're talking about, and I loved it just as much. And I agree. Like, go find it on the internet, folks, if you haven't watched it. It's one, a lot of fucking fun, and two, I agree, it's not a total just shit on a representation, and sort of, again, like, it is some dramatic bullshit in there, but I think they kind of hit the nail on the head with like, oh my god, you just crawled out of my memory space and threw up all over it, because I haven't thought of that. I loved it. So
there's a scene where he buries himself in the woods up to his neck and then gets sniffed by a pack of wolves during a satanic ritual, and I'm like, yeah. Come on me.
He's
great.
Like he's goddamn BTK. Exactly. I loved it. And that's very much like, I feel like that's the spirit of what our man was like. Yeah, probably. I mean, who fucking knows? That's like, I feel like that is probably his goddamn Saturday night at this point. Oh, so good. So, more favorites and least favorites.
Oh god, now I'm like, every single adaptation has just flown straight out of my brain, which is of course what happens when you are asked a direct question.
Completely understand. Like, if I asked somebody to throw that up on me, I would like completely forget. Kara and I talked a lot about just specifically how much, as both lovers of Catherine the Great, how much we hate the Great on Hulu.
Oh dear God!
Like, we could write a joint paper about how shitty it is in a journalistic, like, in a goddamn academic sense, just to throw up on it. But like, it just drives me all crazy. I'm trying to think of the name of a show that I was thinking, and I'm the same way as you, Allison. Now it's flowed completely the fuck out of my head.
Someone asks what your favorite book is, and you're like, I've never seen a book before in my life. That's how it goes.
What is the best?
Wait. He's in Anonymous, isn't he? He's in Anonymous, which was all kinds of Shakespeare conspiracy. It was the one that Shakespeare was like made up all together.
Absolutely right, Kara. Yeah.
I watched it last year, and it's not historically accurate at all, but it's really interesting. I will say that's an interesting watch. And I think it was Rupert Everett or something like that played Marlowe in it. No. That was
actually
no. Everett.
I think I saw the first episode and quit, but now you've got me like wanting to watch all of it. That's interesting. So like, it's just like, it's an interesting theory thing that you might recommend, if you will.
Yeah,
and Anonymous is interesting.
I remembered my favorite Marlowe adaptation of all time because it was just hanging over here in the back of my brain. But Only Lovers Left Alive. Have you seen that movie? By any chance? It is.
Yes, I am.
It's like someone reached into my brain and pulled out all of the elements of a perfect movie for me specifically, and it's ludicrous. It's Tom Hiddleston and Tilda Swinton as vampires, and then also Kit Marlowe as the elderly vampire, which, like, why not? And I love it so much.
I was talking about, shit you not, this movie today, because I was talking about What They Do in the Shadows, the TV series, and Tilda Swinton's on it as a vampire at the Grand Council. And somebody was like, what movie was Tilda Swinton a vampire in? Wait a moment, I've got you there. Yes.
Let me tell you, that was very informative to me personally. So, like, I'm not going to forget those outfits and the hair. Like, very important.
Yeah. Oh my God. Like, literally, sometimes the fractals on this show blow my mind, but the fact that I was talking today, telling somebody, when was Tilda Swinton a vampire? Well, let me tell you. Yes. I do agree. That is a lot of fucking fun, and who goddamn knows. All right, so Bethany's just told me we are coming up on our time limit. Is there anything else, Allison, you want to add? Like to the overall tale? I think this was fucking perfect, man. Great episode.
Yeah, we've covered the basics and the weird parts, so I think I'm happy. I will toss in one more shameless book plug, if I may.
Plug everything. Plug all of your social media. Plug everything that there is to plug.
Fantastic. My plug section. My Christopher Marlowe novel, full of all of these weird antics and shenanigans, is called A Tip for the Hangman. It is published by Doubleday, and it is available at all of the places where you buy books or ebooks or audiobooks. You can find all of the buy links on my social media profiles, tying all the plugs together. So you can follow me on Twitter or Instagram at Rapscallion, Rapscallion with an S. Or you can find me just at my website, which is AlisonEpstein.com, and it's got all of the good stuff in one place.
I think that's so awesome. I still can't get over your handle on it. And honestly, I know that we're recording this and we'll post it after your book comes out, but I just think it's so cool that we get to talk to you before you're like out there and famous.
Before you're like guys, have you read the review? Like, so I pulled you up on Amazon, ma'am, and it, like, the snippet I read was really good. I also want to say that she's getting good reviews from the Chicago newspapers, from really good authors like Kate Quinn, who's actually a historical fiction author I actually really like. So I'm like, holy shit! Like, I'm in that regard. I was like, really cool people have read your book.
When we got the blurb from Kate Quinn, did I cry? Yes, I love her so much, and so I
was about to say I would have cried, but furthermore, because I was going to talk about how deeply I internet stalked the fuck out of you today, because as everybody knows, I am always like, I don't know about anybody we have on this podcast. So I went on a deep Alison Epstein goddamn psychopathic Google search, and then I saw that and I was like, oh my god, what a plug. I would have felt so good about that. Like, I got up in euphoria. I was yeah, she read that about me. No, I felt the exact same way. So I got super excited. I was like, she's gonna be on the show tonight. I'm super excited. And it's not something we usually do. It's not something we usually do, but I feel like you're also such an authority.
I am so happy for it. She slid right into the DMs, and I was like, when the second she tossed out her proposal, here's the funny thing, and Jessica will attest to this. Jessica's very picky with what she likes with Tudor era stuff. But when
such a cunt about it, or a bitch about it,
she was like, okay, I'm in. Everyone was like, I'm in. So, no, that's awesome. I also wanted to mention, too, first off, you're being published by Doubleday.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. Cried about that, too.
It's also a big point in your favor.
No, that's it. How did you pitch it? I just want to know. How did you pitch it?
That is so funny that you asked me, because my comps were The Alice Network by Kate Quinn and Shakespeare in Love. So it all comes out.
So that came full circle quick.
Yeah, sure did.
You're going to be on Target shelves.
I'll be on the Target website at the very least. I don't know if they'll put me on a shelf, but Target.com will sell it to you.
I will go to my local Target. I will go to my local Target, Allison, and I will make a stink and say, where's my Allison Epstein book? Where is she? She needs to be on this shelf. She deserves a spot.
It's a book club. It's a Reese Witherspoon pick. Let's make it happen.
Keep saying that out loud until it's a thing.
That just sounds like fun to me, to go to my local Target and say, I'm going to flip a book on the shelf.
We're gonna Karen this.
15 goddamn minutes that
It's
I
not
don't have
Karen her
something
book.
else to see.
It's not
For legal
Karen her book.
reasons, I cannot encourage a riot in the Target. For personal reasons,
For publishing, for your
Oh,
publicist.
why would
but
you?
my publicist
But,
is do not encourage a riot.
You also just described what is my ideal afternoon: swatting books off the shelf. Oh, you've got this animated Harry Potter. How long's this been out? Watch me.
It seriously sounds like the best news title ever. Women from Indiana, Virginia, and Alabama go berserk over Target not carrying a specific book.
would be like crying. However,
Honestly, if you got me
fresh
front
without
page news with a riot, like that is publicity, and it's not necessarily bad.
Bad press is still press. So
you've hit the bottom line of this entire podcast. It's like, no, but bad press is still good press. You're
Still
talking
press.
about us. You're talking about it.
Marlowe died
So,
that early, though. It really is. Because I was just thinking, I have to find me some like Shakespeare fan fiction tonight with Marlowe. Like, I just need to. It needs to happen.
There's a lot of it,
Oh,
actually.
Kat,
Oh my God.
you don't have to look very far.
Patreon.
Mm-mm.
let me guess, the fan fiction is
There are-
they fall in love and they can't be without each other, so they do satanic rituals and morph into one.
Kinda, yeah. There are some Aleister Crowley, like Moonchild ritual shit that mixes into that, as if it's Crowley and Parsons, but only Shakespeare and Marlowe, if you will. Like it gets weird.
Merged and then blossomed into. Maybe that's why Shakespeare's shit is just so vastly different. They've just merged and
brains.
formulated. I don't know.
I'm just
Gave me
so
the
glad.
pitch for my second book, so thank you. That's what I'm doing.
Wait, what are you thinking about a second book yet? I have to know.
I am drafting one. I have not sent it to my team yet, so it is a big secret, but it is in the works. And the tease I will give you.
Yes.
The tease I will give you is that the historical figure who inspired the book is Rasputin. So that's the direct.
No
What about
way! Oh my
fans, man?
god!
He's not
We're all
in it,
Russia fans
but
here.
his spirit is in it. So
Dude, that makes so much sense
what
though, because
direction
that
you going?
is him. That is so Rasputin. He is such a in spirit. Oh my god.
But for real.
You have you have channeled a sort of Russian long schlonged ghost from the center of Siberia and put it into, yes, please. But then again, I'm also going to note, everybody knows I do not generally let somebody that writes particularly what you read on the show, but as I started deep diving you when you first said it, I was like, she's such a Marlowe expert that I have to have her on, because it's just like, this is what she does. And I don't normally allow, historical fiction, and because I think most of them are goddamn terrible, but I started deep diving you and I was like, this is so good, and it's so, like, she has to be on.
That's the thing with historical fiction. It's a trend right now, and there's good and bad, right? Like the upside to historical fiction as a whole, and this is what's interesting. I actually do think it's a unique form of creative writing, because you're having to speculate based on very minimal detail. So I have utmost respect for that. But as you and I both know, there's also part of me that's like, you and I have seen where it goes wrong, Jessica, if that makes sense. And we're just like, but then again,
I
the
think
people that do.
You mean
It's
Outlander, where everybody somehow gets raped in the story in that sense? Yeah. God damn, I hate
do
that
think
shit.
it's
Yeah, what do
interesting.
you read? What do you read? I want to know, besides Marlowe.
yeah, just finished a book at the wee hours of this morning called A Deadly Fortune by Stacey Murphy. It is a paranormal historical mystery about a reluctant medium in an insane asylum. So hot tip.
Oh my
I love
god.
it.
Okay.
Everything about that hits all my necessary fun read points, like from beginning to
I'm in the
end.
medium
Like,
part, man. I'm in.
It is great fun.
if we could have taken my personal brain and made tally marks, you just hit 5 and like 6 and 7 very, very quickly with that entire description. So
I have to make a comment, just because, first of all, I feel like it would be easy for somebody to write a book on, say, something that you have a ton of access, or you can get access to actual information. Whereas this one, you have actual information, but then it spirals into, do you have actual information? So I find it very inspiring and cool. I know that's not even like the right word to say, but that you've taken on this task and you've made it into something that like is factual. I know I'm not saying that I have a problem with
but
putting
a great fucking story, right? Like,
yes,
no,
it's like a story, but it's like, yeah, sorry, I sometimes have a hard time trying to put into what I want to come across as like it's ingenious with how you've using the information or lack thereof and made it in a non-biased. I mean, yeah, you've already admitted that you've got your biases, of course, but you've also done it based on the information that's in front of you historically.
Yeah, you're
too,
upfront and honest about it. You're not just
Yeah.
I'm so excited to read it too, especially after this, because I'm just like, I don't have to scream in I don't have to scream into the void, which is what I generally do.
It's not expensive. You can literally pre-order it with one click. Yes. So, I mean, I honestly, by the way, I love the cover of your book.
By the way,
that's why I see it on Target shelves, dude.
I was gonna say, who
in your
did
future.
that? Like whoever produced the cut, like they chose well, succinctly. It's good.
I love it. In fact, I hope it's okay if when we release this episode, I was wondering if we could just
also
release
really quickly
your cover, if that would be okay.
That would be just great. The cover artist is Mike Windsor from Doubleday. He's a genius. He handed that to me like that and was like, "What do you think?" And I was like, "Yes, thank you. I'll take it. It's gorgeous."
He works for Doubleday. He has to be good.
Yeah.
I also love that you've alphabetized your library rather like I have in my house, so that when I go, I know exactly. Like, yes, I do a decimal system in my own house. You bet I did.
She has a Rolodex too at Doubleday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I worked in a library for 3 years. Everything is in the correct place on my shelves. Trust me.
As well it should be. As the daughter of someone who is a librarian, it's just, it never ends. It never fucking ends. It's just always your whole life system has to be in Dewey Decimal.
I go by size and look and appeal.
Of course.
Sorry.
Why did you say size?
Because, like, to the books, like, how they look. And besides, most
book is.
I think that's interesting. She takes a Jonathan Strange approach to her library. She's very much a chaos magician, if one will, when it comes to reading.
Most of my books are not history. They are art history, dance history, and dance biographies. So,
those are history.
I know, but not like your considerable, like, oh, drop up a hat. Let's talk about Martha Graham real quick. No, nobody's going to want to do that. See, Kara's face is like, who?
God damn it, Bethany.
So, but no, I think I really, really enjoyed having you on, Allison. I feel like you've taken my head and like completely spun it around. And I feel like I should just join QAnon at this point and just say, who here thinks Kit Marlowe? No. Who here thinks Kit Marlowe is actually William Shakespeare?
And then you
and
drop
see
the fuck out.
Twitter.
And then you drop the fuck out, right? Like,
Yes.
then you ghost.
Boom.
Then you ghost. You ghost. Out on
And then before you
and
know
you
it,
just-
Allison, your book is selling a top seller because QAnon people are talking about it. It's a #1 hit. I'm telling you.
QAnon boost. That's what I was aiming for with this podcast. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you,
I'm so-
Bethany, for that. Because what she was aiming for was, you know, Shakespeare's a ghost and part of the Illuminati.
No, I actually think book 2 should be about how Marlowe and William Shakespeare did meet up, fall in love, decided to do satanic rituals, morphed into one person, and came out on the other side as one individual. So there you go.
Okay. I'll tell my editor. She'll be on board. We're in.
Yeah, what she's gonna pitch is the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, and see how much that fucking does. Yeah, no.
Oh, Allison, you are so fantastic. Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm kind of like one of the cool kids getting to talk to you on this, having you come on here. Like, seriously, I'm like, oh, guess who I talked to today? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
It's
like
been
one of
a
those.
joy
Like,
to be on here for me. So I appreciate y'all being the coolest. Thank you so much.
when you write the next one, I think you already know. Go ahead and pre-book us. That being said, I hope you're so successful that you're doing Rogan in a year, and you'll be like, "Who are these?" Ugh. Like that is my hope. My
Squads,
sincere
I
hope.
guess I'll
No, but if she
Not
is that
too
big, we still want her because then, yeah.
Get that Rogan.
Well, yeah, like no, all day long. Like he's I think I was watching a Family Guy episode the other day that made me laugh out loud with he's the king of our dumb people. I think is what Seth Rogen wrote in a fucking, or not Seth Rogen, Seth MacFarlane wrote in a script. Like he's my favorite king of dumb people, which made me laugh really hard. That being said, there have been a billion interviews he's done that I've listened, especially S.E. Gwynn talking about Empire of the Summer Moon, which was a fantastic fucking book, but that is neither here nor there. So Allison has plugged her stuff. We're going to wrap it up. Kara, where do we follow you? And be sure to give Time Travel Talks the huge plug it deserves.
Oh, well, thank you. You can find me on Twitter at Kara DiDemuzio. No spaces, dashes, or anything. Instagram at Kara.DiDemuzio, which people are obviously finding me there, which is a little bit bizarre because I'm not particularly active on it. Time Travel Talks, which is a really cool project that has been in the works since 2019, but it's starting to finally flourish, and I'm happy. Is basically a community, and I've pimped it enough, but it's a community-driven discussion forum that's based on Twitter to give people of all ranging experiences in history a chance to talk about varying topics. And you know, we've talked about Ptolemaic Egypt, which is more on the obscure side for most people. We've talked about World War II, which is on the opposite end of the spectrum, and just like what the listeners like. So it's pretty cool. We have some big projects and big plans coming up, but I'll leave it at this. There's going to be a lot of room for community involvement, and there's going to be a lot to tangibly see beyond the Twitter feed very soon. And if anyone's interested, I do have a Discord link. There's about, I think, 110, 115 of us now in there, but it's a great place to meet and connect with people casually interested in history, podcasters, several published authors. So also I want to extend that invitation to you, Allison, if that's something you might be interested in. It's a great community to talk both casual history, to talk about literature, to talk about share animal pictures. Just it's a fun community, honestly, and it's a great way to just have, in this pandemic environment we're in, kind of a haven, so to speak, where you're not judged if you have a question, or you have people that can answer your questions, as Jessica would put it.
And it's a great way to plug your book there too.
Yes,
I
that's what
know
I'm
for a
saying.
fact those people
I know
love it.
several sales will happen from it.
Yes.
Wink,
I'm
wink.
in, and honestly, you had me at Animal Pictures, but you kept me with the community, so I'll be there.
Why
If
did
she
I
hasn't
saw something light up.
already, yeah, if she hasn't already sent you the Discord link, I'm gonna be #shocked. Like, let me put it that
Process of
way.
it. Busted.
Yeah,
Hold on.
exactly. But I always think it's important, Kara, plug that. It's a community where we all kind of met through. It's something I'm a huge believer in. I think it's a very supportive community. It helps everybody from the armchair, or not just the armchair, like basic, I like history. What do I need to know? Like open forum questions to actual PhDs. So I think it's absolutely fantastic. I cannot plug it enough. Don't just go follow Kara though. Kara, what is Leah's?
Oh, Leah's Twitter handle. It's Leela, like Lela history on Twitter, and Celt, like Celtic but abbreviated, MVP on Instagram. But she's more big on.
Instagram.
Yep. And then I am about to drop you the Discord link, by the way, Allison.
Perfect.
Amazing.
So that being said to everybody, don't just when you get interested in time travel talks, don't just follow time travel talks. Please go follow Kara. Please go follow Leah, because all of your updates in that are going to be very crystal clear as to what's coming into your feed. You'll be ready for those talks. That being said, Bethany, where do folks find you?
Sorry, I was kind of preoccupied. I was following Allison and I was getting an update, and I actually did pre-order with one click your Kindle book. I'm excited. I'm super interested in this man. So I have clicked, and I've already, sorry, as Kara was doing, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to pre-order, and then I'm going to get a notification when it drops, and then, shit, I'm going to follow her, oh, sorry, I'm here on this recording. Sorry, I'm here. Sorry, yes. You can follow
me. Gone crazy.
I've gone down a rabbit hole of Alison Epstein. That's just where
No
I'm at.
relation to other Epsteins, I might add.
Of course.
For any listeners.
They are giving my name a bad name. I had it first.
Very
I
common
just put that out there. So no conspiracies there, folks.
Oh my gosh. With that being said, you can follow me on Instagram at Bethany Skelton 5, the number 5. You can also follow me at the same tag on Twitter, but please capitalize on my BS initials. Capitalize on the BS, and that is where you will find me. Jessica, where do we find you and the podcast?
So, podcast, as we all know, we are working on our website. Now the network is working on some things they're going to throw in too. So it's been delayed about 3 weeks because there are going to be network links. There are also going to be merchandising links. We're finally going to get you people all merchandise. And so who we go through and everything like that has been added. And then we should right now be able to launch in about 3 weeks. And there's going to be some interesting stuff up there. That being said, it is bodycounthistorypod.com. Now, you can follow the show at Body Count Pod on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We're very active on 2 of those. I don't know so much about the third, because I refuse to get on somewhere my grandmother can find you. As you know the content of the show. And that is simply why I am not on Facebook. That being said, please go follow, we're very interactive. We love everybody to be interactive on all of our sites. You can follow me at Jessica B, as in Bravo, Manor, like the house, not the behavior, on Instagram and Twitter. So I think that's going to do it for us. at this particular moment. Again, go buy Allison's book, guys. Like, it's there. It's easy. Obviously,
Really a
I
one
don't get it.
buy.
It's
a one-click pre-order.
About shit. I don't get excited about shit, but I am excited about this. And by the time you hear it, it will already be out. So we encourage everybody to please go and buy this book because it's amazing. So I've like Allison has already made it to where we know it's amazing, like just from this interview. So please go check it out. That being said, Allison, you were an absolute dream of a guest. You came, you saw, you conquered in this case, and I absolutely loved it. So we are going to go ahead, cut out, and say a goodbye for the evening.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.